Hi, listeners. It's Becca and Brooke with the College Admissions Insider podcast. We're here to remind you of Bucknell's application deadlines for this year.
For incoming first-year students, our Early Decision 1 deadline is November 1st. And for Early Decision 2 and Regular Decision applicants, our deadline is January 10th. We can't wait to meet you through your application.
For the past few episodes on College Admissions Insider, we've done a deep dive into academic disciplines, one episode at a time.
So far, we've covered sciences, mathematics, the humanities, and engineering, and we encourage you to jump back and listen to those episodes if you haven't yet. Today, we're exploring management. I'm Brooke Thames from Bucknell University.
And I'm Becca Haupt-Aldridge, also from Bucknell. On this episode of College Admissions Insider, we'll get to know the kinds of majors available in this discipline, what management might look like in college, and the careers you can break into post-graduation.
Our guest is Matt Bailey, a chair in business administration and professor of analytics and operations management at Bucknell. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So let's start by chatting about what those titles mean for you and the work that you do at Bucknell.
Okay, I'm the department chair of our department, one of our departments, Analytics and Operations Management. It's actually one of the 4 departments we have, so I'm not representing everybody, but I'm going to try at least speak for those different departments. So the other ones we deal with are Markets, Innovation and Design, Accounting and Finance is another department, and then finally our Management and Organizations department. In terms of titles and areas, so I broadly teach in the area and work in the area of data-informed decision-making for problems in operations. So the courses I teach are tied to things in the areas of data analysis, operations management, supply chain management, data visualization, and some machine learning for business courses also as part of our major. In terms of actually what else it means in terms of the work that I do outside of that, the research and scholarship that I work on is focused on healthcare and education operations. So I've done some problems in decision support systems for staffing and patient assignment decisions, partnered with the hospital in the area, Geisinger, and also some other work with other organizations around the country on some daily scheduling problems, and for example, for tutor scheduling and similar problems.
Thanks for that overview. It's so interesting hearing some of the areas that management can be involved in. You mentioned healthcare, data visualization, but to start from a bird's eye view, management might be less familiar term than business when we're talking about colleges, right? And so can you give us an idea of the differences between business and management and why that matters?
Looking at it, business is broadly defined as activity with purpose. And more commonly, you'll see across the country, you'll see the idea of business schools, MBAs, programs like that. The thought of it is that they're viewed at least as being focused solely on for-profit corporations. That may not be true, but that's kind of the idea, that the terminology of just saying business, that perspective. And we have purposefully chosen and elected to use the term management as a way to distinguish ourselves and look at things more broadly and organizations more broadly. So we're trying to look at all types, such as nonprofits, non-government entities, for-profit corporations, obviously, startups, large and small, kind of running the gamut of all the kind of organizations. And we want to have students be open to that and realize they're going to have the opportunities to explore all those different areas. Now, with that said, all these organizations, whether it's a nonprofit or whether it's a for-profit corporation, they still focus on the sort of the core functions of any organization. And we have those through our departments, through our majors, through our courses, things such as operations management, my area, which talks about the delivering of that goods and service that you provide to the company or you as a nonprofit. You also have to manage your resources in a proper way. So that's where financial management comes into play, your accounting, your finance. On top of that, then, how do you actually get your message out to who you're providing the goods and services to, whether you're a nonprofit or for-profit, your marketing operations, your advertising, things that go along that way. How do you sell or market what you're actually providing? And then sort of finally, internally and externally, you have the ideas of management and organizations. That's sort of the people side of your company, the structure, how it's labeled, who does what and when. That idea has to be driven to it also. And so those corporations are going to be not the same, but they're going to be similar structures for any organization, regardless of whether you are for-profit or nonprofit.
That's super helpful. So far, you've provided an overview of the different departments within the College of Management at Bucknell, but also the nuances between both business and management and how those 4 departments really show up in all types of businesses. Can we take a closer look at the majors that a student might find in a school of business or management, including those at Bucknell?
I'll focus on, I guess, what's offered at the Freeman College. And there are some other options with outside of there, but for us, we hit those core functions through there. So we really, right now, we have 5 majors available. We have the accounting major and finance, again, back tied to how you manage your resources and control those things. We also have a major in markets, innovation, and design, which discusses the aspects that includes things like marketing, but also the broader sense of design, designing products, designing services, sort of that creative side of things. My area is in our major we offer is in business analytics, which ties to that quantitative methodology for making decisions across the business and across functions. And then finally, we have our other major in management and organizations, probably the more broad one that deals with the general sense of how these things are structured, who's doing what, the ethics of an organization, and the human resources aspect of it, and entrepreneurship kind of ties into there also. Now, within these majors, we also have the ability, especially in the management organizations, we have concentrations that are available to students. So if you have an interest in one of the areas such as entrepreneurship, we have a concentration in global management, human resource management, and then also managing for sustainability. Now, if you go a little bit farther beyond the concentrations, we have something a little more than that, which is the minors that are available to any students. This is for students in the Freeman College, but also for students in any of the other two colleges in arts and sciences and engineering. We do offer minors that are available for students in business analytics, a minor in entrepreneurship, one in human resources, there's one in accounting, and then finally one we've had for a while, which is of great interest in real estate. So beyond the majors themselves, then, just like the core functions that are offered within those classes, as a college itself, we were an early adopter, an early signee of the UN Principles for Responsible Management Education. So this kind of governs and ties to the mission of the university and of our college of what we're providing, which is more than just how to do things, but understanding that it's about learning the functions of management, and it's education that should be connected beyond that to things like the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. And so through the things that we do and sort of the 7 principles of prime, purpose, values, teach, how we teach, the research we do, who we partner with, companies and corporations and even community organizations, how we practice things, and just sort of the idea of being a good corporate citizen. So these are connected to and tied to the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, which has to do with issues of poverty, hunger, health, education, gender equality, etc. So I think that one thing you'll see, and as we talk later on about what it seems like to be a student at Bucknell, that you'll see this right away for our students who major in the Freeman College, any of these majors. And you'll have to go through our Experience with Management 101, and that's our experiential learning course, where students are develop a company and a product, so what you classically do in many business management schools. So they experience all the facets of that, the management, the marketing, the human resources, all that's done. But to our mission and to the idea of these UN Prime goals, the students are also expected to tie that work to a service project, to learn that as an organization, it's not just about doing what you're doing. It's about how you connect with the community, how you connect with the people around you. And so you find a partnership where the outcome of the product you develop and sell, the time and effort and even the resources in terms of financial resources are then sent over to a local organization to help them what they're doing. So it's getting the students to understand that it's not just about producing a service or good. It's about using organizations as a way to contribute to a community in a broader sense. And hopefully they take that mindset beyond Bucknell to when they're actually starting their own companies and working for other companies to be, sort of agents of change.
It's so great that there are so many different options of majors, concentrations, and even minors. And it sounds like regardless of what you choose, you're going to have a base of those prime principles. Things are going to fill your tool belt with skills and even perspectives that are going to help you go out into the world. There's also the option for students in any of our colleges to pick minors or even double majors in other colleges, correct? And so a student who is majoring in management might even supplement their education with education outside of that as well, right?
Yes. Being at Bucknell, this is a pre-professional program, but we've always sort of been housed into the mentality of the liberal arts. And so when I came here to Bucknell, actually, at that time, it was the Department of Management was actually housed in the College of Liberal Arts. We became a school, and then now we've transitioned to become a college. So, but in that whole process, and part of that being done, the faculty was very cognizant of never saying we want to have a silo of management, a silo of arts and sciences, and a silo of engineering. We wanted to understand how can we work with these different colleges to make everybody better and to offer programs in that way. So hopefully our arts and sciences students understand and value the programs that we offer in management. So they have access to them through some of our courses or a minor or other opportunities in that way. And in the same way, our students have the opportunity through the core courses they take, which we can talk more about in a bit, but also the opportunity for developing beyond that and doing dual majors and doing their own minors. And so because of that, We're not what I would call at some programs that you see where they focus on the idea that a business undergraduate degree in business is really a mini MBA. You take the same courses kind of pared down as you would, and you learn the core skills, and you kind of are very heavy and deep in those areas of management with not as much in a broader sense outside of there. Our focus is more of get those principles there. Yes, definitely understand all of them, but understand your place in the world, understand your place in education. And that's where we encourage our students to pursue interests outside of what they're doing. And so what I've seen because of that is we have more of our students that are doing things that are outside of traditional management areas. So, for example, I have a business analytics major, which is kind of a more quant field, very focused field, but they're a minor in dance. We have accountants who have a dual major in art and art appreciation. So things that I see and really kind of, I guess, warms my heart in the sense that they go beyond what we're doing. And I think it's a better idea of educating the whole student beyond just what you want to do going forward.
What you're really amplifying and echoing is what we see when we read applications. We see that Gen Z is multi-passionate and they are looking for flexibility, and their educational experience is not necessarily going to be linear or a straight line. And so I'm really liking that a liberal arts school like Bucknell, offers opportunities for students to pursue intersecting interests.
And so with all of that in mind, let's give our audience a taste of what a 4-year experience might look like in any or all of these majors at a school like Bucknell.
Hi listeners, I'm Mia Mesger, an admissions ambassador at Bucknell University. The only thing better than listening to the Admissions Insider podcast is visiting our campus in person. With campus visits offered 6 days a week, nearly all year round, there are plenty of opportunities to tour campus, attend a preview session, or even sit in on a real class. To schedule your visit today, head to bucknell.edu/plan-a-visit, and hopefully I'll see you on one of my tours soon.
Okay, so at Bucknell, we have our student standard who come in would have 32 classes across that 40 years that they come in for. You would apply directly into the Freeman College, so you would be accepted in there. We don't expect you to have your major picked at that point. And in fact, I actually hope that you don't have your major picked at that point. I hope you take that first year and a half roughly to explore, and we give you the opportunity to do so. And that exploration should happen not only within the college, the Freeman College, so looking at other majors within the College of Management, but it should be looked at across the university. So we've roughly, through that, we've adopted this sort of what we call the 8888 model for our majors. And so it's kind of a subset of courses for each of them. And so if you look at our website and kind of get a sense for each of them, at the baseline, we have 8 courses from the Freeman College Core. That's kind of your first year that goes through these courses that you're going to be building in first year and a half, 2 years, kind of sprinkled throughout, where you get a foundation in those core areas we already discussed in finance and operations and management and accounting and marketing. And so you get that baseline going on. So that's kind of your building for any major in the Freeman College is going to have that. We then sort of allow the students also, because we are making that connection across with more than just business, but learning in a broader sense, we have 8 courses as part of our college core. These are typically liberal arts classes outside of our college, arts and humanities, the science, mathematics, economics, and so on, that allow students to get some experiences and broaden what they're doing and pursue interests possibly too. Now, then once you have that sort of baseline about your sophomore year, you declare a major with the College of Management and get a sense of where you're going to go. At that point, you're going to start reaching into the classes that are a little deeper, more tied to what you want to do, your higher level finance accounting, if you're in those majors, if you're business analytics and so on, where you're going to have roughly 8 courses that are going to be tied to your field and provide that depth and that deeper level of knowledge you're going to need to pursue that later on. Now, beyond that, then you still have 8 courses floating around there, and that's where we typically have them to be sort of free electives, or at least general ability for students to explore. Either they want to explore more within their major, more within the college, but also the ability to pursue minors elsewhere, pursue dual majors, and kind of just go after passionate areas they want to be able to do. So we have, in my opinion, the ability for students to get a strong foundation within management, get a broad understanding through the college core, get a depth of understanding within a particular major with those courses, and then on top of that, the ability just to kind of explore and pursue passion and interest tied to those.
I appreciate how intentionally designed the curriculum structure is in management that really, again, gives students the opportunity to explore and get that depth of experience that they want to find while they're here. Speaking of ways that students find experiences, let's talk about some opportunities outside of the classroom. like internships or career preparation, how important is it for our business and management students to get those types of experiences, and when does it begin?
It is important for students to get the experience, obviously. More and more companies are looking for people that have the connections and have experiences in summers, typically with a business and an interest. On top of that, a lot of the hiring is now happening through those internship opportunities. So they're taking somebody they've already seen, they've vetted them in a way, they've had them go through their program, and then they hire them on full time afterwards. So making that connection is important. So for us, I think it plays two roles. It's a way of learning about what you want to do. But what I try and tell a lot of students, and I've seen this myself many times with students, who it's also about learning what you don't want to do. And I have so many students who come back typically after that sophomore year is probably the first opportunity. The first year is a little too early at that point to have some direction. Some do get internships, but more often it's after the sophomore or junior year that you're going to see that more likely. And I've had students who say, I want to be a finance major. They go off, they get an internship, could be a great internship, and they come back and they say, I wasted my summer. I hated that. I don't want to do that. And I stop and I tell them, I said, you don't realize how valuable it is for you to see now that finding not just what you want to do, because it's easy to confirm what we already want to do, confirmation bias, but to stop and say, oh, I've learned what I don't want to do. I'm like, great. Then keep moving forward and look at something else. And I also caution them and say, don't let one experience spoil you on an entire field. You have to kind of keep your eyes open that way. But it offers you the opportunity to get that from there. So in terms of finding internships, now, it's a little different, I would say, than when I was going through, but we do have our Center for Career Advancement. Students can work with them directly. We also have a great experiential learning office that works with you on getting your resume together. Our first year students are working on that, kind of that transition from college to business, how to dress properly for an interview, how to engage with alumni. We have speaker series in that way too for making connections. So we have all kinds of opportunities that are available, external speakers coming in. I think Bucknell has a phenomenal alumni network, which you can tap into. I tell many of the students and the alumni that come back, I just had one who came back and gave a talk in class and said, please reach out. And if I can't find a job for you, I can find somebody else to talk with to try and point in the right direction. I also think the other part about this, it's important that students learn to not be passive about this and say the Center for Career Advancement is going to get me a job or Bucknell's going to give me a job. You have to be active and engaging on your own. And I think even more now, so where so many things are happening online, obviously, where students have to market themselves a little bit. So those things that we do now and putting together your portfolio, getting some information available, having a LinkedIn profile, reaching out to people that you've spoken with previously, and doing a little bit sort of legwork on your own goes a long way for those things also.
So far, we've chatted a lot about this from the college side, but let's flip it and talk about high schoolers who are exploring their options and getting really intrigued by all the things that we're saying here. What might be some signs that a student should consider pursuing business or management? It sounds like, especially with the existence of those prime principles being infused in plenty of schools, that maybe what a student wants to do depends on their own values and goals, and they should work from that place.
Agreed. The driver is what you want to do, values and goals. The world is run by organizations, whether it's the government, whether it's the university, it's the hospital, it's corporations, it's driving a lot of things. So you understanding that is very valuable for your own long-term goals that you want to do. Whether you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to understand all these facets of things too. So what you want to do and the driver of it, I think in terms of it's a pre-professional program, so students should have some interest in those fields, but I don't think you're really going to get that experience in the sense in high school, whether you want to do it. I think if you find business interesting, you should sort of facilitate that by talking with people. For a lot of these students, if you're not sure, I would say the greatest thing is just talk to people, as many people as you can, about what they're doing, what your parents, what your relatives are doing, why they do what they're doing, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. That's how you're really going to learn. I don't think you need to focus so much on students at times taking courses and trying to take an accounting class, for example, or a marketing class in high school. I think at that point, you just kind of have to understand and figure out whether you're interested in these areas by talking with people. And the other part I would say is when you are doing things, you're dealing with organizations, you're dealing with companies every single day of your life. Don't just do it passively. Look at the products you use. Why do you use them? What do you like about it? What you do not like about it? What services do you use? What software do you use? What websites do you interact with? And look how things are done and think about who's making those decisions. What's behind that? The entrepreneur who developed the company, the person who's financing it, the product that's being delivered, the way it's being targeted toward you for good or for ill at times. So I think if those kind of things interest you and you want to know more about that, why people are doing, these companies are doing things a certain way, why aren't they doing it this way, why some succeeds, why don't succeed. If you have those kind of questions and sort of curiosity and interest, I think that would guide toward you. Now, more finally, I guess, if you are more people focused and you find that aspect of it more interesting, then obviously something like management organizations and our majors would be more of an area you might lean toward. If you're more on the creative and design side, you want to start your own products and do that, you might lean more toward the markets innovation design major. If you find some of these Wall Street aspects of things, accounting, making decisions quantitatively in a broader sense, how people do things are data oriented, I would say that business analytics or finance or accounting might be of interest. But I think part of this is that if you're interested in how organizations behave, how they're run, it's an area of interest, and you want to take that on, I would say come to the Freeman College of Management, but keep an open mind. And once you're here, once you're taking classes and looking around, get a sense for what you want to do. You may find that changes, and a lot of students do in that first year. We offer you the opportunity. We're not making you focus right away.
So knowing all that, this curious student that's thinking critically about the organizations that they interact with, can you describe who that ideal high school prospect is? What skills or experiences do they have that they might cultivate in management?
I don't know that the skills themselves are unique in the sense of success for this. I think what we would probably look for is what any professor or any major is looking for and for students in many ways. We want to have students who, obviously curiosity is part of this and learning. I do think one thing for us is communication skills are still a key. And so that's more important to me than having somebody who's taken a very specific course within high school. Are you comfortable writing? Are you comfortable speaking and presentation? And these can be developed also. You don't have to be innate already ability for you. And it also depends on the area itself. I mean, you could look at some of these things that you may think that, so I work in business analytics and a lot of that is more data oriented, computer driven. So maybe you're thinking that I don't have to have strong communication skills because I'm just going to be working with data in the back room. Well, in the end, if you want to have any impact upon an organization with that analysis that you've done, you have to be able to explain it. You have to be able to communicate, to sell to somebody who doesn't understand what you're doing. And so that's just as important. So those communication skills that way, working on writing well, comfortable with oral communication. And I would still say that especially now, even if you don't think you're sort of a math person, maybe you don't want to do accounting or finance or analytics, despite that, whatever area you're going to get in, with the proliferation of data and analytics and AI and everything else now, having some core mathematical skills and being able to problem solve is critically important. Those are things we'd like to see. In the end, curiosity and sort of the generic grit. Somebody who's going to try and solve a problem, is not going to give up on it, keep working through, is not afraid to seek help out for things that they're doing, and likes challenges. And that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think all of our guests from all the different disciplines have said that exact same thing. What they're looking for is curiosity, communication skills, even writing goes into every single discipline. And so for those who are listening, make sure you're cultivating those skills. This whole episode could serve as a pitch for why management, I think. But I'd love to close with your best pitch for why students should be exploring this field.
For me, at least, it's a never-ending field with a world of possibilities. You can kind of take it where you want to go. The world is run by organizations, and the more you know about them, the more you know about what and why the world. If your argument is, I want to improve the world, I want to make the world better, I would argue that to be an agent of change, you have to understand organizations.
And it all starts with working hard in high school and cultivating some of those skills. Thank you so much for being here on today's episode.
My pleasure.
And thanks to everyone out there for listening. If you're a fan of the podcast, please take a moment to rate, subscribe, and share this episode with the students and families in your life.
We'll be back with another new episode in a few weeks. In the meantime, send your questions, comments, and episode ideas to podcast@bucknell.edu. We read every note you send.
And finally, you're invited to follow Bucknell on your favorite social media apps. Just look for @BucknellU on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also follow our student-run Instagram account, which is @IamRayBucknell, where you will meet plenty of our management students.
Until next time, keep reaching for your dreams and your dream school.